That's actually something that I've never really talked about with anybody. I also dealt with some bullies on the unit as well. I didn't tell anybody that I was going to apply for it. I just did it. So my first job was on it. So I made the decision that I was going to go back to school. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If it's your first time here, hi, I'm Sarah. I'm a family nurse practitioner. And in today's video, we're going to discuss my journey to become a nurse practitioner. So I'm just gonna jump right into it, and I'm gonna start all the way back to when I was a 17-year-old senior in high school. It was getting to be time for me to apply for colleges, and I had no idea what I wanted to major in. So I had a sit-down conversation with my mom, and she's like, hey, you should think about healthcare. In particular, you should think about nursing because this is a field that's growing and they're going to be in demand over the course of the next 10 years or so. So I didn't really know any nurses at the time. Nobody in my family was in healthcare, but nothing else really got me excited or interested me in any kind of way. So I said, let me try nursing. And that was one of the best decisions I ever made. So I applied to a traditional 4-year BSN nursing program and I got accepted. So I actually started taking nursing courses in my freshman year of college. So I started in the nursing program. I was 18 years old. I had no idea what to expect. And it really did. It hit me like a ton of bricks. During nursing school, not only was I trying to pass my classes, learning about all these new concepts, but I was also trying to navigate my social life as well and dating and all these sorts of things. So nursing school was pretty hard for me. I was working during nursing school because in my program, I was required to find a job that was in the medical field in some capacity. So I worked at an assisted living facility and I was kind of like a glorified nursing assistant in a way. I had a full schedule where I assisted the elderly residents with whatever they needed. Sometimes I would help people with their showers. I would take people to the movies. I would help walk dogs. I would do all sorts of, things, but I did this while I was in nursing school. I think nursing school became more manageable for me when I finally figured out how to study. When I finally figured out that the key to great studying was taking really good notes, that's when like the light bulb just kind of clicked on for me and everything was smooth sailing after that. But I really didn't figure that out until my senior year of college. So once I figured that out, it was smooth sailing after that. And I did graduate within the 4 years. So after passing my NCLEX, which it did take me 2 attempts, y'all. That's actually something that I've never really talked about with anybody. But yeah, I did not pass my NCLEX on the first try. So the first go around, I was feeling fairly confident just because I figured I was well prepared by my nursing program. And that's not to say that they did not prepare me, but you obviously have to study for your NCLEX, What I did was I skimmed over a few questions in the test bank and I'm like, I'll be fine. After my test, I don't even know if this still exists, but there was, I believe it was called the Pearson trick. It would give us some kind of indication of if we passed our NCLEX or not. Immediately after taking your test, if you tried to register to take your NCLEX again, the website would kind of like error out and you wouldn't be able to do it. And that was a good sign. That means that you passed your NCLEX. But if you failed, it would allow you to register and sign up for an additional test. So I'll never forget this. Immediately after leaving the test center, I went over to the library and I tried to register for another NCLEX exam and it allowed me to register. So I knew at that time, oh my gosh, I did not pass. Mind you, immediately after graduating from my program, I had already started to go out for interviews and I had accepted a position on the tele-obs unit. I told them that my test date was already scheduled and I'll be taking my NCLEX soon. And so they hired me and they said, as soon as you pass your NCLEX, give us a call and we'll get you set up for the next orientation date for the hospital. So I immediately went into panic mode after I didn't pass because I'm like, what am I gonna tell these people? They'll never wanna hire me if they know that I didn't pass my NCLEX on the first go around. So I went into panic mode, but I also went into study mode and grinding mode. I cut off all of my summer activities and I had my head in the books, honey. I was memorizing pages of books. I was on top of it. And when I went to go and take my repeat test, I did pass. So that was a relief. So what I did was, at that point, that's when I called the job. They said, oh, you're lucky because our next orientation is coming up. So I went to that and I started my first job. So my first job was on a tele-obs unit. And I know I've talked to you guys about this before, but that unit was no joke, okay? The number of admissions and discharges that I had in one shift was like mind-blowing. Truly, it was mind-blowing. And on top of the fast pace of the unit, I also dealt with some bullies on the unit as well. I was freshly, 22 years old, and I looked probably like I was like 20 years old at the time. So I was young. I was working with some more seasoned nurses and honestly just some mean girls. And they definitely let me know that I was a new nurse. So after spending a year on that unit, I couldn't take it anymore. I was dreading going to work, and it wasn't necessarily because of the patients, it was because of my coworkers. So I just told myself, I just have to change up my environment and let's just start fresh somewhere else. So I found an internal job for a medical ICU position, and I didn't tell anybody that I was going to apply for it. I just did it. And I took a leap of faith and I got the job. So after transferring to the ICU, I'll definitely say that everything changed for the better for me. I had so much respect, and I honestly was just in awe of ICU nurses, and I just couldn't believe that I was finally going to become one. They're just some of the smartest people in the world to me. I loved ICU nurses. I would see them in the hospital walking around in their critical care hoodies, and I'm just like, oh, I want to be one day. So when I finally became one, it was truly like a dream for me. So prior to transferring to the ICU, I never really thought about going back to school. I was already at the pinnacle of what I wanted, which was becoming an ICU nurse. So I didn't really consider anything beyond that until I went to the ICU. And as you know, the ICU is kind of like a revolving door. Now, you definitely have some of your more seasoned nurses who have been working there more long term, but there are a lot of younger nurses that are coming there just to get their experience so that they can then move on to CRNA school. That's just kind of the nature of it. I've seen so many nurses come, work for a couple of years, get that experience, and then move on to CRNA school. So as I kept seeing that over and over again, I spent some time doing some research, and I shadowed a CRNA, and I decided it just wasn't really something that I was interested in. I found myself spending a lot of my time looking through my patients' notes from the different specialties and the different teams that were seeing the patients. And I would just think about like the rationale behind some of their decision making and some of the different diagnoses in the patient's chart. And I really told myself, I want more education. I want to be able to make some of these decisions for my patients. I want more autonomy. I want to do more. So I made the decision that I was going to go back to school. So I went through the whole process of trying to figure out, do I want to go to school online? Do I want to go to a brick and mortar? What do I want to do? And so I ultimately just decided to go back to my alma mater. So I applied and I got accepted into the Family Nurse Practitioner program. Now, a lot of people kind of question me like, well, Sarah, you work in the hospital. Why would you want to do family? Why not pursue like acute care certification? And my thought process at the time was, look, I've been working in the hospital for all these years and I'm tired. I'm tired of the hospital setting. I want to work in an outpatient clinic. I want to work in a slower paced environment. I want to do something totally and completely different. So in hindsight, I think that I probably would have done a dual nurse practitioner program and been certified as an acute and family nurse practitioner, just so that I would be able to sometimes work in a hospital setting or outpatient setting, and I would not be working outside of my scope. So I think that in hindsight, or if I had any advice for somebody considering which nurse practitioner program to pursue, I would recommend dual certification just so you could kind of be more well-rounded and it won't limit you as far as what kind of jobs that you can apply for and work in. So nurse practitioner school, I would say, was definitely easier than my BSN program for me personally. I wouldn't necessarily say that it was from the coursework. The whole atmosphere was different. All of us in the program had experience working as nurses, and when I was in school to become a registered nurse, I was just trying to stay awake during class. I was living my best life. But now all of us in the program had already attained our degrees, so we were just trying to advance ourselves. I already had my studying down packed. I would say for me, the most difficult part was probably clinicals, just because clinicals just make me nervous in general. Any type of situation where I'm being put on the spot or my knowledge was going to be tested in some kind of way, like in real time, I don't know, it just makes me a little uncomfortable. So I would say that was the most difficult part about nurse practitioner school. But in general, like comparing nurse practitioner school to the BSN program, it was like night and day, night and day. So initially I did work through nurse practitioner school. I maintained my full-time position in the ICU, working the 3 12-hour shifts per week. But my last year of nurse practitioner school, I decided I was gonna cut down to part-time. So I just worked 2 12-hour shifts and then that was it. Did I have to sacrifice a little bit, cutting down on my pay? Absolutely, but it was worth it just because as soon as I sat down to get some good studying in, alarms would go off or I'd have to go to CAT scan or some kind of emergency would happen and I wasn't able to study. So I did have to cut down to part-time, but that was only for about a year, so it wasn't so bad. So I learned my lesson from not passing my NCLEX on the first go around. So when it came to my nurse practitioner certification exam, I prepared, honey, okay? I was not gonna get caught slipping this time. I prepared and I took my time studying. I think I studied over the course of about 2 months or so. And that was because I didn't feel that same level of pressure. When I was in my BSN program, I really wanted to start working ASAP. And I was like, I gotta hurry up and pass so I can start making some real money. Versus now, I was already working as a nurse and making pretty good money. I was stable in my career and I knew that I wanted to find a job that was, that right fit for me. So I took my time studying. I did pass on the first go around. Then I started to look for jobs and find one that was the right fit for me. It pretty much came with ease, honestly. There were a lot of people who were saying, oh, the field is oversaturated and you're not gonna be able to find a job. I was honestly able to find a nurse practitioner position and get hired within a month of me passing my boards. So I did not struggle, nor have I ever struggled to find work as a nurse practitioner since graduating 6 years ago. Becoming a nurse practitioner was honestly the best decision that I ever could have made. So since working as a nurse practitioner for the past 6 years, I do not regret my decision. It's been really a wonderful experience, a total lifestyle change for me. I've made a number of different videos about what I love and some things that I don't like so much, but in general, what I love about being a nurse practitioner. So you guys should check those out. So that was my journey to become a nurse practitioner. I currently work in an urgent care. I've been in the urgent care setting for about 3 years now and I love it. If you have any questions for me, don't forget to leave me a comment, like the video, subscribe to my channel, and I will catch you guys in my next one. Bye.